Hello, everyone. It is Wednesday, the 31st of January, 2024, and I did just finish a video, but because it was already over an hour long, I decided to break up the video and talk now about Astro theosophy and its connection, my possible theory regarding its connection to noble gases and the colors of the rainbow, but not just the colors of the rainbow, but also the opposite colors based on the state of the particle, I would say. So whether it be an evaporated gaseous form, whether it be a solid or a liquid, could also alter the color of the element, just like mercury, for example. And so I will get into that. It's going to be a little painful because it's the first time I'm actually really going to be deep diving into this and sharing with you information that I've put together, consolidated based on hundreds of thousands of hours of research, probably, or at least thousands of hours of research, and so many different books that I've gone into. I got a whole pile on my floor that is based on Astro theosophy, based on different cultural religious texts, including like the Holy Bible, for example, and the Quran. Bible myths and their parallels in religions. I have, the Universal One, and other books by Walter Russell. And anyways, and then I've made my own connections based on my interpretations of the various signs and seasons as well. And so this is why I strongly believe that if we discuss this aspect more, then more people would be they would make the click or the link between this being an electromagnetic reality that's being projected via hyperboloids and toroidal fields, and how so this is a contained environment, even as we experience it, perceive it, but also even within this simulation or this simulated environment, this very advanced divine clock, computer game, whatever you want to call it. And I'll try to break that down. So again, it might be a little painful because I'm going to go through my notes and also discuss more regarding like the colors and my belief that the primary colors, as we have it as as green, red, and blue. I also think that is a way to confuse us and not make connections to astrotheosophy and the higher level stuff. And because even like certain colors that can be created using all other colors can be created using violet, green, violet, and red. And even on my whiteboard here, you'll notice that violet is at the very top, red is at the very bottom, and green is in the center for the chakras, for the color systems, for literally everything. For where we're showing is the luminaries are in conjunction or in comparison to the sun, and I'll get into that as well. But even certain colors, they're being called other things, and I don't know. Well, I do know why. It's because again, they're misleading us. And so maybe I'll just go through my folder and start going from there. Oh, you can't even see it. Damn it. Okay, so I have to pull up the photos. Okay. I've got a little folder that I started making about the chakras and astrotheosophy and stuff like that for a book that I want to make. And I want to see which one I want to pull up first to talk about. It's so hard. But actually, maybe because I'm talking about toroidal fields, I'll talk about, I'll just cancel this, about my interpretations of the magnetic fields, the electromagnetic fields that are being projected, that are being displayed all around us, and how it connects to the luminaries and stuff like that, like I was saying. And so you've got, I'll start at the top. I'll show this. I'll start at the top where you have the sun, the seventh chakra. Again, there's multiple chakras, but like the primary seven, the crown chakra. Day of the week correlated with it is Sunday. This out of the zodiac signs, the only zodiac sign correlated with the sun is Leo. The element being gold, that's represented by this line, and the color being violet. But also with that, you've got where it absorbs light and then reflects light, right? So the opposite of violet would be infrared. And then so even if you go down, which is why I also believe that where it's like with the colors and the gases or the plasma, whatever you want to call it, that are within the different magnetic fields, there's different colors correlated with them as well, and it's because of the plasma and gases that these particles make up, right? And the reason why this also reinforces the fact that this is a contained environment, because like the lighter particles and elements, whatever you want to call them, or gases, they rise, and so the less dense an object or material, it raises to meet homeostasis, and then the same thing with more dense objects, right? And so anyway, so magnetic fields. Again, this is going to be painful to start. And I was just asked if I've heard of Jordan Maxwell. Absolutely. And I love his work. He's not a flat earther, and I don't believe he was, but brilliant. And he talks about Admiralty law. He talks about the connection between religions and astronomy as well. But even he also does not discuss it at this level. And so it's so I'm learning from the greats and then building on it. So even with Santos Bonacci and Old World Florida and countless others, they make really good parallels, and even Ken Wheeler, but they're not bringing the whole thing together and making the connections like I'm making. And yes, and Jordan Maxwell, yeah, he friggin' brilliant, and rest in peace. He just passed away recently, but anyway, I highly recommend people take a look at his work. So that being and the sun being considered to be above us, that traveling through the Tropic of Cancer, and then through the equator, and then the Tropic of Capricorn. I'll talk about that later. And then so that if you go at the closest to the sun being the moon, and again, just going down the line, it's correlated with the sixth chakra, which is the brow chakra, or the third eye. And the only zodiac sign correlated with it is Cancer, and the element correlated with it is silver. The color correlated with this is indigo, and then so you've got that for the visible color, and then the opposite of that for the non-visible. And so being orange would be the opposite in and around that color. The day of the week correlated with it being Monday, or lundi en français, and sorry, even with Sunday, that's dimanche en français. And so different other mythical beings. Actually, I'll keep on going with the sun, because I do have notes. Yeah, and so even with that, it's between the July 23rd and August 22nd is also correlated with Leo for the dates. Leo being a fixed fire sign. I don't have that in my notes. I'm just going off the top of my head because I'm familiar with that. And then even with with the 144,000 souls saved in various religions, that has to do with the chakras as well. And for that chakra, that seventh or first chakra, as above so below, it represents 1,000, and then 144 are what the other chakras add up to, and then it's 144 times 1,000, because it's 1,000 times stronger, the crown chakra, than the other chakras in the system. And so it's like Cancer's a cardinal sign that forms the cross, by the way, on the wheel that I'll also share. And then the number being 96 or 69, yin and yang, also represented for the number of petals or chakras, 48 times 2. Anyway, just going through my notes here. So for the moon, other names of the moon, actually, I could go with the sun first, because I was already talking about the sun. Other names are Sol, Apollo, Peen, Horus, Dionysus, Krishna, Mithra. There's countless others that I've talked about. And also interesting about the sun is exalted. The sun is exalted 19 degrees in Aries, which is also interesting. It's considered to be a masculine diurnal sign. And so just wanted to give you further names throughout history that represent the sun. And so even within the Bible, Jesus Christ, and Krishna for other, so down the list. And which is also what the Last Supper from Da Vinci also shows. And Jesus Christ being at the spring equinox, just before the fall, on the 23rd of September, between that cusp between the Virgo and Libra. And so just very clear, again, that connection with even with the King James Version of the Bible and astronomy. and the light of the world, being God's son. And so just more on that. And so for the moon, other names of the moon is Artemis. And so even that, with that, there's stories of like of Apollo and Artemis being twins. There's countless other representations of even Isis and Osiris or others being twins, and countless other ancient civilizations, Greek, Roman, Egyptian, Babylonian, Mayan, you name it, different representations of what they discussed based on their interpretation of the luminaries above. So Artemis, Mary, Isis, Miriam, Diane, Selene, Luna, Latona. There's so many different names that also discuss the moon. Le lune en français. So mean motion, 13 degrees, 10 minutes. North latitude. So again, this is also proof, like with the latitude and longitude lines that we're delineating, that even the luminaries, like where we're seeing them, it's literally within like the latitudinal longitudinal lines just above in the sky, in reference to the ground below, if that makes any sense to people. So you've got north latitude, that it moves up from the equator, 5 degrees 17 minutes, degrees being representative of 60 minutes. South latitude 5 degrees 12 minutes. Cancer is a feminine, nocturnal, cold, moist, luminary. It has phases, right? That doesn't necessarily mean it moves, because we've only ever seen one side of it. So it could possibly be a two-dimensional projection. How we're seeing that, I don't know. But like some stones associated with it being selenite. Everybody said the day of the week associated with it. And yeah, I'm going to go into it, but even you have to go into so much. It's going to be a little painful to start. But the fifth chakra is the throat chakra, and that's correlated with people like Woden or Odin or Hermes or Mercury or Mercurius, people that were communicators. That's why it's correlated with the throat chakra. And the throat chakra is blue. And there's even the color Mercury blue, for example, but even Mercury in its cooler gaseous form is blue. And that's why for anything that's above us, there's the assumption that being made that it is lighter particles than anything that's below it. And so what else can I say about Mercury? It is androgynous, which is interesting. So it's not considered to be a sun or a moon, because there's different classifications of these luminaries, considering them to be suns or moons, or masculine or feminine luminaries, or diurnal or nocturnal. So let me just go through Mercury. So Hermes, Odin, Woden, Mercurius, never distant from the sun. So it apparently, it moves one way, remains still, retrogrades. North latitude, like at the furthest limit, is 3 degrees 33 minutes. Interesting. South latitude 3 degrees 35 minutes. Again, that's where it stays within like those parameters. And Gemini and Virgo is correlated with this luminary. It's neither masculine nor feminine. Mercury blue, Wednesday Mercredi. And I said that it's considered to be a sun and a moon. You've got Virgo and Gemini that are correlated with this line, and Virgo being the feminine nocturnal, the feminine nocturnal luminary, sign, and then Gemini being the masculine, positive, magnetic, radiating sign within this. And there's even different representations of mythical figures representing Virgo and Gemini. Okay, the same thing with Cancer and Leo, like I've discussed. And then you've got and then it's never far away from the sun. So even when you look at what fake NASA and these like ISS and RASA, like these fake organizations, what they give us, they still are very accurate with like how close the luminaries are with the sun, because they have no choice, right? So like even when they show you like that line of like the distances of the luminaries, Mercury is considered to be the one that's closest to it, and so this is why this also works, and because if you look also, so you've got the sun, the moon, But if you go down like Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, again, it's the same thing that they're teaching, but again, this is like more realistic, and this has to do with electrical magnetic fields, toroidal fields, and hyperboloids, and those fields that these luminaries project. I really hope this makes sense. It's so freaking complicated, and this is the first time again I'm discussing this so intricately. And so then you have the heart chakra, which is at the center point, which is the fourth chakra. The day of the week associated with it is Friday or vendredi. And even with that, you've got the vendre, and vert en français, it means green in English. The zodiac signs associated with it. And again, there's a positive, negative sign correlated with all these 7 original luminaries as well. And that's why people need to look at the archive data and the older works and not look at what you're getting on Google right now, because there's a lot of misinformation. And it doesn't make this connection. And so you've got Libra and Taurus, Libra being the masculine, diurnal, magnetic, radiating sign, and Taurus being the electric, gravitational, feminine, cool sign. And the element associated with it, correlated with it, is copper. There's others as well, but copper being the primary one. And when it oxidizes, it turns green. And we see more shades of green than any other color. And Venus also considers to be a luminary that has phases. And so are these just objects that are also not being identified, that are also just offering like blocking a bit, just like our full moon and our new moons. It seems to be there's an object, again, that's not the sun or the earth, that is blocking it on its path during various times. And it's not the possible black sun that people talk about as well. Anyway, another random topic. And so you've got Venus. Other names of Venus is Aphrodite's, Dawn, Eos, Aurora. I'm just going to go into my notes. There's probably countless other ones that I'm not even mentioning. Well, there absolutely are. So Venus, Aphrodite, Lucifer, and that's another thing that people get wrong. They think that Lucifer is considered to be demonic or satanic, and even with that, that's also a misrepresentation of Astro theosophy and the luminary Saturn. But I'll get into that. So Venus, Aphrodite, Lucifer, Hemera, Dawn, Aurora, Eos, Phosphorus, which also, again, like that green connection, Vespergo, again with that green connection. The greatest north latitude it travels on its path is 9 degrees 2 minutes. The one that has the biggest amount of variation above us from the sun during the equatorial line. Sorry. So north latitude 9 degrees 2 minutes, south latitude 9 degrees 2 minutes. Yeah. So. And then, so I will also just see if I already have this up. I have to go through so many tabs, so just bear with me for a second. I'm just going to look through because I want to show you. I'll show the visible light spectrum and non-visible, and then I'll just go through the list. Maybe I'll just do that easier. So you've got seeing color. So the visible and non-visible light spectrum, it's even here. So visible light is a very small portion of the light that we actually see. And there are infrared cameras now that are also destroying the globe Earth algorithms, mathematical equations that they have to where they use to calculate the curvature of the Earth. That is repeatedly debunked, but that's another story. But where you have on one end of the spectrum, literally gamma rays, and then on the other end, it's radio waves, and these are infrared and these are ultraviolet, right? And then they absorb and reflect the opposite of each other. Same thing for these colors, if that makes any sense. And there's different wavelengths and frequencies that are correlated with each of the visible light waves and all the other waves as well, to be perfectly honest. And so just want to share this just to give you a visual. And then I'm just going to keep on going down the list here so that I can close the tabs. And so what are the colors of the gases in the periodic table? I also wanted to talk about that because hydrogen and helium, violet and orange, these are also what make up, the luminaries such as like the sun and Jupiter, and why there's also that strong connection with the orange color. With why I say that, nitrogen being violet, oxygen bluish violet in elemental form, blood red as a radical, and so also with these gases to look at them in various different forms. Mercury vapor is bluish white, so there's where you also like with the bluish they have to throw in there. Xenon whitish blue. It's still like there's more of a blue. So why are the gases colored? What is color? Things appear color or not because of the light that reflects off them in the case of a non-transparent solid, or the light that passes through them in the case of a translucent solid, gas or liquid. White light is a mix of all colors of light. If a substance doesn't reflect any light, we call that black. In a gas, this never happens because the molecules are so few and far apart that they can't absorb all the light. If a substance reflects all the varied colors of light that strike it equally, we can call this colorless or white. So the real question is, why would one substance reflect blue light, for example, and another substance would reflect red light? The answer, like most questions about physics properties, lies with the electrons. So it's going through here. I think a visual representation is warranted. So I'm going to go into my maybe I'll just go into this first. The visible spectrum. As a form of electromagnetic radiation. Light has properties in common with both waves and particles. So it even says that light is, that is electromagnetic radiation, and which also is why the luminaries are impacting us and our ability to see the colors the way we are. And so this is again, look into this stuff. I'm going to pull up a better picture that I have on my desktop. Again, this is going to be painful because this is why I wanted to put a book together, because I need to put this all in notes. Okay, so these are the colors, the waves, frequencies. So for violet, it has it's very close together waves. Frequency waves, 670 to 790. The wavelengths between 380 and 450, and then like the wavelength increases as you go towards the other luminaries and colors. Green at the center. Photon energies. Share another screen. Noble gases. This is just, again, just to give you the periodic table. You've got the noble gases and lighter gases and elements that make up the atmosphere. So I'm going to keep on going down the list. I just wanted to go through some pictures with you first before I kept on going. So I ended with Venus, or Lucifer. So then you go down. Third chakra is the solar plexus. The day that we correlated with it is Tuesday, or Marzi. The element associated with it is iron. The luminary being Mars, and the color associated with it being yellow, just like iron can be in various forms, especially when heated up. It is very yellow. And why? It's hilarious, not hilarious, that the smiling friggin' emoji is yellow when that is actually a symbol of, or a color that's represented with, like, it's symbolic of war, or at least it used to be symbolic or represented war. And also possibly considered to be a diurnal masculine luminary. And so the two zodiac signs correlated or associated with this line is Scorpio, which is the feminine, negative, electrical, gravitational energy of the zodiac sign out of this one, and then Aries being the masculine, magnetic, radiating sign, yin and yang, positive, negative, female, male, centripetal, centrifugal. I think I already said about electrical, magnetic. And Tuesday, Mardi, Mars, Aries, also Athena, by the way, which is why I don't understand why people keep on considering Athena to be a representative of Gemini and all these other, it's ridiculous. No, that's also, I believe, to be wrong. There's so many different versions of Athena, or like other versions of Athena that where she's like the goddess of war, strategy, tactics, and stuff like that. So clearly friggin' what were like a Mars, like a symbolic representation of Mars. And you've also got Parus and countless others. And so the north latitude variation, like a limit, is 4 degrees 31 minutes, and southern latitude limit is 6 degrees 47 minutes. And so is this it? Nope. Okay, found it. So not Saturn. Talking about Mars. Let's see. I want to find Mars. This is a really good website. This is from over a decade ago. So it's 12 years ago. Not Jupiter. Mars. So this was exerted from William Lilly's Christian Astrology. Also called Mars, Eris, Peros, Gradavis. That's why then Jupiter, Venus. And also even on this board, it's further down the list. So further away from like the sun at the top of the chakra system. So he hath Aries for his day house, Scorpio for his night house. I already mentioned that. Masculine nocturnal planet. In nature, hot and dry. Okay, what else can I say? I still want to go further into that. So for Mars, I'll show the screen just to see what I'm searching. I just literally Mars information, Google. It's saying that it's fourth planet from the sun. So if you go down here, it's then 1, 2, 3, 4. That's Mars. Sure enough, my board is still correct. If you look at the chakra system, like I'm saying. Say so Mars. Makeup or composition? What? Are you freaking kidding me? Mars makeup? Anyway. Iron, nickel, and sulfur. Americans spell it a different way. Pentlandite is an iron nickel sulfate with chemical formula. It looks kind of yellow. So it's saying that it, like the element correlated with is iron. Okay, so when an iron rod is heated in a furnace, the color of the iron rod first turns dull red, and then on further increase in temperature, it changes to bright red to orange, then yellow, progressively white, and then finally blue at the elevated temperatures. But because it's not as hot as the sun, it is yellow, bright yellow. They want to put the orange color in there because they want to just confuse you and make you think that, no, it's not connected to that. And so, yeah. Oh, and sculptures too. Okay, so Mars yellow connection with that. What they're claiming to be the elements. Again, this is just in plain sight. In plain sight, making the that connection with like the colors of the visible and non-visible light spectrum. Again, this is a story that they're creating, and not really making the truly important connection. So anyway, I'm going to move on from Mars. Stop screen. And second chakra, so day of the week associated with it is Thursday or Jeudi. The element associated with it is tin. The luminary being Jupiter, which also possibly like this has phases or at certain periods gets blocked a little bit. The color associated with it being orange. Sagittarius and Pisces are the two zodiac signs correlated with Jupiter. Sagittarius being the masculine, positive, radiating sign, and Pisces being the negative, electrical, gravitational sign, feminine sign. And then so go through that as well. I'll share my search with you. I keep on spelling it Canadian. So there's orange. Orange. Mostly hydrogen and helium. Deepen the atmosphere, pressure and temperatures increase, compressing the hydrogen gas into a liquid. Again, this is all like this is misinformation, but so they're saying that some of these are gas giants or luminaries that are gaseous, because again, this is also like giving a little bit of truth as to particles that raise or lower depending on their environment, the atmosphere, the space that it occupies. If it's less dense or more dense, it's going to either raise or lift depending on that. It has nothing to do with gravity, other than gravitational forces and magnetic radiating forces at work from the universal force of one. 71% hydrogen, helium, and 5% other elements. So Jupiter, Thor, Tyr. Let's go through my notes, and then I'll go through that other website again. Diurnal masculine luminary. Other names for Jupiter are Zeus. Okay, so anyone that says that it's that Zeus is represents Jesus or these other, I don't know where you're getting that. Thor, Tyr. Yeah, I'll bring up the. Where is that friggin'? Placed next to Saturn, just like on my board. Phaeton as well. He is the greatest in appearance to our eyes of all the planets, which I call luminaries, with the exception of the Sun, Moon, and Venus, also known as Lucifer. His greatest north latitude is 1.38. His greatest 1 degree 38 minutes. His greatest south latitude is 1 degree 40 minutes. He hath 2 of the 12 signs of the zodiac in his houses. So Sagittarius in his day house, Pisces night house, like I said. So masculine, feminine, magnetic, electrical. He talks about like if it's well placed or not well placed in your signs. So you've got that. And last but certainly not least, I can go on. And again, I believe that these cause these electromagnetic fields. You've got the root chakra, which is considered to or correlated with the first chakra, the day of the week being Saturday. Capricorn and Aquarius are the ones that are connected with Saturn. And even on the zodiac wheel, which I'll show you, there's reasons why. Capricorn being the negative feminine electrical energy, Aquarius being the positive magnetic radiating masculine energy, element associated with it being lead, and the color correlated with it being red or ultraviolet, which is the opposite of red, right? Depending on visible and non-visible light and what gets anyway, and that stuff. And what I believe to be also like the outer layer of the or outer magnetic field of this multidimensional simulated environment that's being projected via hyperboloids and toroidal fields on a flat plane of inertia. And I hope that makes sense. And so I will go into Saturn, also known as Cronus, also known as Satan. And so the Saturn worship that people talk about, it's they're worshiping what they believe to be a demonic entity or a loving entity, depending on who you talk to. And it's all based on Saturn, the luminary that we see above us. And there's no real actual satanic demon devil other than people that are operate in their lower frequencies, their lower vibrational selves, lower levels of consciousness, lower level emotions, and cause harm to people and suffering and stuff like that. These are people that are, again, they have themselves to blame and no one else. And so people that are worshiping people that cause harm to others or perversions, you're not doing it for any justifiable reason. And clearly the only way out is from within, and to save yourself from all that bullshit and stopping all the weird stuff that you do. So again, in here it talks about Aquarius and Capricorn being day and night as well. So again, just reinforcing like my whiteboard in all the data that I've looked through that predates the friggin' new age stuff that's coming out on astrology and astronomy and stuff like that. It just doesn't make sense to me. Saturn being a nocturnal luminary as well. You know, any animal that would be considered to be nocturnal would also be obviously correlated with these luminaries as well, like the owl and others. So this was a really good, interesting read, all of these different breakdowns of the luminaries and their latitude and longitude descriptions of the luminaries. I just want to show you some examples of toroidal fields. So what we talk about, so, and the connection with like the astrological wheel. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing that. The end goal of this is I don't know how long this is going to take, but I want to prepare before going on other shows. Oh yeah, even with Cancer, just I wanted to show you the beehive cluster. It's also within the constellation of Cancer. Just want to show you that. And if you don't see it, it's right here. Okay. Oh, what happened? Get pushed out. I'm going to share another photo and also try to explain. I hope you can see this. Let me just see if you can see that. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to take myself out here and see if I can expand that a little more. Okay. So I like this as well because I can explain how you have Aries in the east. So usually it's north, south, east, west. But in the case of the luminaries, because the sun travels from east to west, start in the east, and then we go down the wheel and then up, and I'll explain why. So anyways, this is how, if anyone's familiar with astrology, like you already know this wheel and the different breakdown of the different 12 houses and which luminaries correlated with it, etc. And so you have Aries, which which is the start of spring. If you look at the solar clock and you look at the sun's path through through the ecliptical, passing over the tropic of Capricorn, and Cancer. So, so if you want to start with spring, let's say this was the 21st or 22nd of the 20th or 21st of March, depending on if you're in the northern or southern hemisphere. That's when we have equal amount of day and night, and the start of spring. And then actually, maybe I'm going to bring up another. I'm going to bring up Walter Russell. Before I go, I'm going to explain that one as well, but I think I want to give a better. Maybe this one. And if I can. So I'll put it this way. Even though it would be better if this and then it was followed by this. So anyway, so if you have right where my arrow is pointing here, this would represent, this is Walter Russell's diagram. This is on electricity and magnetism. And I'm going to get into that in the link between electricity in the atmosphere and magnetism in the atmosphere, and how electricity and the voltage of electricity increases the higher up in altitude. But also, interestingly enough, it's also the magnetic frequencies are also weakened, and just the same thing with a magnet. The further away you go from a magnet, like the less repulsion or attraction it has, right, compared to the environment. But anyways, so consider this to be equal amount of day or night on the ecliptical cyclosinal wave, whatever sinusoidal path that the sun takes above us within the firmament. So this would be 20th to 21st of March, spring equinox, equal amount of day or night, and then the sun raises on its path after that, going from spring, going from Aries to Taurus to Gemini to Cancer, which on or around the 21st or 22nd of June, you have the summer solstice, which you have the sun is at its highest point in the sky. And it says here where the radiation is increased on this as well. And so you have the maximum amount of magnetism, and the sun is a magnetic, masculine, radiating luminary. And so again, this is the connections too that I would love to make with people like Ken Wheeler and stuff like that. So like even with these like electrical magnetic diagrams, and with the increase and decrease in resistance, whatever you want to call it, interference, it still applies to this divine clock and the sun's path above us. And so when it's at its highest point, we have the most amount of magnetic, electrical magnetic activity, I guess. And we have the longest amount of day and the shortest amount of night. And then from that point, it transitions into Leo. Okay. And St. John the Baptist on the 24th of June, we celebrate St. John the Baptist, but that's the day he allegedly died. And that's when the fall of the sun happens, right? It's still really high, but again, it's starting its descent from its ascent. And then so you have Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra. And then again, that you have Libra, the 23rd of September. That's when we have equal amount of day and night yet again. And what we consider to be in the northern hemisphere are fall, autumn, and the same thing for other areas. But and this is where it's like we start the fall, like the further descent. Okay, so pretend this is here now. So we got 23 September. Every single year, again, depending on whether you're in the northern or southern hemisphere, falls in through Libra, and then you've got Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, And so again, different seasons as well, broken down. So 3 signs, 3 zodiac signs correlated with each friggin' sector, or sector, I would say. And then on the 21st or 22nd of December, rather, depending on if you're the northern or southern hemisphere, you have the winter solstice, when you have the least amount of daylight, the longest night, and where the sun is at its lowest point and stays there for 3.5 days, and then rises again on the 25th in Capricorn, and starts its ascent. Okay, up, and then Capricorn, Aquarius, and then you've got Pisces, and then back to Aries, and then Cancer. So Aries is a cardinal sign. I'll show that on another graphic. But then even here, with when the sun is at its lowest point and the least amount of day and the longest amount of night in the northern hemisphere, it's when you have the least amount of that electrical magnetic energy, or whatever you want to call it, within the atmosphere. And I hope that was interesting. And let's see if you can see this photo before moving on. Oh, you didn't friggin' see it! Or maybe you did, I don't know. Maybe I just got out of it. I hope. Anyways, I'll figure it out if I play back this. Once I play this back, I hope you saw the friggin' diagram. I'm just going to share it again, just in case you didn't see it, which is probably annoying to everyone. No. Yeah, which is also annoying, is that the photos are not even coming up. Yalla. Just going to share screen again. See if it friggin' actually. Okay. So this is what I was going off of if you didn't see it. And this is directly out of The Universal One by Walter Russell. This is one of the pages in it. And this discusses electrical magnetic energy, and when radiation dominates and when gravitation dominates, right? So radiation dominates when the sun's at its highest point, and gravitation dominates when the sun is at its lowest point. All interesting things based on that book and its correlation with astronomy and the wheel. So I will, and then I just discussed the seasons, but I will share the wheel, like I said. I'm just going to pull it up. Okay, so same thing with here, but within circle state, you've got where, if you look at the seasons, you've got it where the spring equinox, 20 to 21st March, depending on the hemisphere, starts in Aries, goes through here, and then it's at its highest point. Okay, and this is what we consider to be 12 noon. Also, when you look at that, not only the annual, but also the day clock as well, because the sun travels 15 degrees every hour, 30 degrees every 2 hours, and passes through each one of these zodiac signs every within a 24-hour period. And there's 360 degrees in a circle, and you've got that going as well with the sun's path. And then there's so much more as well with that. But so this starting at 6 a.m. If you want to look at the again, this is like depending on the season, stuff like that. This is just to give you a rough idea. So you've got 6 a.m. or spring equinox, equal amount of day and night, where the sun rises in the east, sets in the west. Okay, so it's starting its journey. Okay, going through Mars, or going through Aries, then Taurus, then Gemini. Then right here you have like where the sun, generally speaking, when it's at this point, when it's at its highest point in the sky, 12 p.m., 2, 4, and then you got 6 p.m. between the cusp of Virgo and Libra. Libra as a cardinal sign, Aries is a cardinal sign, Cancer is a cardinal sign, Capricorn's a cardinal sign. And this is where we see the equinoxes and the solstices. And then when you have the X's, this is these are the fixed signs, and we have Aquarius, Scorpio, Taurus, and Leo. And when you combine these, you get the Sphinx and Griffin, countless other figures throughout history, which connects this. And this is this makes an X. And this is also what an X, the ancient symbolic representation of the X, meant. And the cross was when you connect Capricorn, Cancer, Libra and Aries, that forms a cross. Okay. And Jesus dying on the cross has to do with his travel through the zodiac sign and dying on the 21st or 22nd of December during the winter solstice, staying at the lowest point for 3 days and then rising on the 25th of December. Every single representation of that, again, is talking about this. And so even during like optimal periods of time or optimal seasons, you have it where 6 p.m. is usually when the sun is setting, and then usually by 12 a.m. it's when it's like the furthest away, or it's like the darkest and coldest in like the majority of the Earth that we see. And then so why you have these connections as well that I like. I wish this was a little more angled, where just a little shift, not a complete shift, but making it where Capricorn and Aquarius were directly at the top. So I would like to see, Capricorn maybe here and Aquarius here, but then it is what it is. Nothing's going to be perfect, but it's fine here as well. But if you look with the toroidal fields, this also makes a neat connection. And with the like Sagittarius and Aquarius, Leo being like opposites, and then the connecting signs. What else can I talk about here? And I'm not sure how correct they are with the luminaries and who they represent. I didn't look at that, but I go off the original luminaries. And what did I want to say? Is there anything else I want to say? So you've got Sagittarius and Pisces. There we go. So Aquarius, Capricorn with Saturn, and then Capricorn is represented by a goat, and Aquarius is represented by a water bearer, even though it's an air sign. And so you got half goat, half human. And that's what we're seeing as a representation of Satan, the Satan figure, and then why he's red as well, and why there's always fire and brimstone. Hell is actually supposed to be cold, freezing, and during the northern hemisphere, when we have the coldest months, when we have snow, when we have the most amount of death, right? There's more people that die because of freezing and stuff like that than being overheated, and a lot of animals either hibernate or they migrate for the winter because it's too cold for them to live. We don't have any trees that grow fruit or vegetables, for that matter, that you can't plant any seeds or anything like that. That's during the springtime when you start planting the seeds and stuff like that, and then harvesting obviously in the autumn period. And so there's just a lot more of a struggle in life during the seasons where Capricorn and Aquarius are where this, in those seasons, whatever you want to call it, the winter seasons in North America especially. And this is also the time too where in the southern hemisphere it's their summer. Okay, so like even though in North America it's like the colder months and there's like they're suffering and all that stuff, life is thriving in the southern hemisphere in a lot of areas as well. I hope that makes sense. And so yeah, you can see the correlation and the connection with the colors, the luminaries, gases, the makeups of what they're claiming the luminaries to be, with the distractions that they're saying that these are objects. These are solid objects. Some of these luminaries, and they're not. We have not been on the moon. We're not going to Saturn. You know what I mean? And so this is why I like making this Astro theosophical connection as well, with the colors, with frequencies, with waves, with all of that stuff. And so let me just see if there's any other photos I want to share. Now this might be a good one. Again, I'm just having fun with this. So sign names too. And there's zodiacal, like 12 zodiac signs or constellation signs that the sun passes through in all different cultures, religious groups and stuff like that as well. So Yang, fire sign, cardinal. Taurus is a yin, earth, fixed sign. Gemini is a yang, air, mutable sign. Cancer is a yin, water, cardinal sign. Leo is a yang, fire, fixed sign. Virgo, yin, earth, mutable. Libra, yang, air, cardinal. Scorpio is yin, water, fixed. Sagittarius is yang, fire, mutable. Capricorn, yin, earth, cardinal. Aquarius, yang, air, fixed. And Pisces, yin, water, mutable. I am a Capricorn sun. I am a Sagittarius rising sign, and I am a Gemini moon. And they do say that your moon sign, you usually get more of the attributes or qualities after the age of 35. I don't know how true that is. And that, yeah, there's more to it, but so what's your sign? And what luminary and color is it connected to? What chakra? And so you'd have to take a look at that and look at the opposite of what you're fixed to in order to have balance or your higher levels of consciousness. So for me, the opposite would be the sun, literally in Leo, and the crown chakra, and the color violet or infrared, the element gold. These would all be things that would be beneficial to me to seek out as well, and of course access my higher levels of consciousness through resisting temptations and living a more moderate lifestyle, like many people do kind of allude to. And so, yeah, I think on that note, I will leave it at that. And I hope that everyone has a, oh, no, wait. Do I want to share anything from Ken Wheeler? Yes, I do. I do enjoy Walter Russell and John Searle, like his lovely discs and magnetism, stuff like that. Ken Wheeler, I would love it if he would talk to me and actually answer my messages. And because I'd like to talk to him about electromagnetic energy and harnessing possible energy from the moon, because there used to be moon towers.
The field geometry, depending on the shape of the magnet, the answer is that it remains unchanged. So I'm actually going to use a spherical magnet, a cylindrical magnet, a pyramidal magnet, or conical magnet, same thing, a disc magnet, a ring magnet.
And sorry, even before he gets into it, and this is why also like there's all these like just like all these excuses, and they're not lying about the radiation belt, right? But what they're not saying is this radiation belt that they're talking about. These are magnetic, these are toroidal fields they're talking about that we can't go beyond, right? Or there's like there's harm to our health and stuff like that. And so there's no way of going through these toroidal fields, especially like when you we're in the homeostasis plane of inertia, which is talked about. But when you start going out again, there's higher levels of electricity, like as mentioned. But then also you're going to get to a point where there's going to be like strong fields before you get to the more weaker ones. And I guess there's not much more to say on that. like Ken Wheeler talk.
And a cube magnet. And
about magnets.
It's actually first used. This time's actually really powerful. It's N45 Gauss neodymium iron boron. The geometry of the magnetic field, which of course is toroidal, will actually roll the ball. Let me actually zoom in a little bit. Roll the ball underneath the glass here.
Owl eyes.
The field geometry remains unchanged. The toroidal geometry, the nature of the magnetic field. The only reason actually the ball was rolling there for a second is it's actually reacting to the metal underneath the table that's holding the brackets together. Let me zoom in a little bit. Once again, I can see that this is the north pole of the magnet, and this is the south pole because of the blue phase shift disparity. So that was a cylindrical magnet. Now let's do a little conical or pyramidal shaped magnet. Let's put it like that. And let the field burn out a little bit. There you go. Remains perfectly the same. Yeah. I can see more of this pole on it because the butt end of the pyramid is actually sticking up with this little conical magnet. I have some really powerful pyramidal magnets, but they're so powerful that I can't get them near these other magnets. If they stick together, it's basically impossible to get them apart. Now let's do a cubical magnet. And take a look here. Once again, before I tell you, can you actually see which side is the North Pole and the South Pole? This side, since it's blue shifted, is the South Pole, and this side over here to the right is the North Pole. There you go. Isn't it neat the holographic depth that you can get from a few microns, way, way, way thinner than a human hair? Okay, so now let's use a disc magnet. Okay, let's place it on one pole first. Okay, there we go. It'll be kind of hard for me to, since it's so thin, to set it up on its edge. I think I might be able to do it without knocking it over. And here you'll see that everything remains absolutely constant. Here I can tell this is the South Pole once again. Okay, let's place that over there. Yeah, let's do a cylindrical magnet. Yeah, these are really powerful also. You can get most of these off of eBay. Basically 100% of the world's neodymium iron boron magnets come from China. This one always makes really nice. There's also two specific geometries. If you actually create a magnet long enough where the pole is on either end, what happens is that the field geometry of the magnetic centrifugal divergence becomes strained. So you can make a cylinder magnet this big. There's also a reason why these super huge monster magnets, and I've got one sitting on the floor right over there, it's $1,000 monster magnet. The reason why it's only 2 inches thick, you actually strain the toroidal magnetic divergent flux such that everything follows pressure mediation. You actually can't extend the toroid out that big.
I might have not made that connection on this video, but I've made it before as well. But there's the importance with that this is 7 rows, but that encompass 12 different, not only zodiac signs, but there's also like 12 cranial nerves. There's no coincidence to that. And then even with sound, so it's colors, frequencies, vibrations, waves. These are all connected. We are connected to the cosmos. The cosmos is connected to us. We are it. It is us, and we are experiencing this multidimensional Earth plane via our central nervous system. Is kind of making that bridging that gap between this Earth plane where our avatars are experiencing everything, and our higher level consciousness or energy that's beyond this plane that's not inhabiting this game with us. That is playing this character, I believe. And just like a video game, right, where you have characters that you play, and then once you're finished playing, that energy transfer, like it's gone between you and the video game. You've unplugged it and stuff like that. You're not playing that character anymore, and then you go on with your life, right? And so I just want to clarify that as well.
Efficiently. And so really long magnets actually have oblate, self-impelled fields. Like if this magnet were about 4 times this long, the divergent magnetic field would not want to extend that far out from the other pole. And what will happen is it'll actually curl in on itself, and so you'll actually end up with multiple planes of inertia. This one makes a really nice field. I always do these little 3/4 inch cylinder magnets. This cell needs to be rebuilt. I've only got like about 20 minutes on this cell, and it's already scorched or scarred in quite sufficiently. Yeah. There's that. Was there another? Yeah, I still have to do the ring magnet. Here you go. Let's place this right here for a second. See if I can zoom in where you can see. Here we go. So you actually can't take really high resolution shots of these magnetic fields because there's not much there. You're just looking at magnetoholographic depth, which is very spectacular, especially when you hold one in your hands. But there's not a lot of high resolution detail there to get. You can make them more sensitive. This one is a really sensitive one. If you actually look closely, you'll actually see like a little ball of light on either pole. You can't kind of see it at that angle, but here you can see it really good. I'll explain that later in the 4th edition of the book. It's fascinating, actually. And it follows field pressure precisely. Now let's see if I could place this on its side. This does not want to hang on its side. I actually have to prop it up with a rock here. And the other magnet wants to accelerate towards it. So that's a problem. There we go. This is the reason you don't want to have multiple powerful magnets sitting on the same table at the same time. There we go. I'm just trying to place it on its edge so that you can see that the field geometry remains a constant. That's the edge of the ring magnet. So it doesn't matter what the hell the shape of the magnet is. Now let's place it flat down. This cell is already, you see the scars, these circular scars. Ring magnets actually scar it up, and the reason for that is the ring magnet's the exact same shape as the toroidal.
So he has great videos.
Where does magnetism come from? Kind of a simple question. It's the innocent, simple questions that always confounds professors, for example. You see me, Mr. Professor? What's a field? Ask your
Yes.
local physics professor what the term energy refers to. See, excuse me, this is a good one too. Says it is the movement of power or electricity from one place to the next, the flow of electrons. Yes, it is. Invariably so it is. Oh, how does wireless power induction work in a vacuum? Well, it's lines of force. It's a good one. Guess an obfuscation, by the way, because force of what, by what, and upon what. Force is not a thing in itself. Neither is a shadow. Shadow is another. There's a shadow. Shadow is, of course, an absence of light. Lines of what? No, lines are not things in nature. Sure, it is a line. Is here line of what? That's like saying wave. Wave of.
See, this is where I also don't agree with him. I believe that there's curves and angles in nature. Everyone's saying that there's just like the Fibonacci spiral, pi and phi, but there's also angles. So there's also trees that are straight, okay, and perpendicular to the earth, and countless other plants and stuff like that. And so like people that are telling me that there's no angles and lines and then it's just curves, there's both, right? There's masculine, feminine, yin yang, all that stuff, and it also includes that.
What? There's no such thing as waves. What are you talking about? I see waves in the ocean all the time. Waves of what? Water. Here we go. Mm-hmm. We're talking about water now, aren't we? Anyway, getting back to the point, where does magnetism come from? It is a really simple question, and yet it begs the question to be answered. And I basically have every book, including ancient books, on magnetism, and none of them answer the question. And we think human beings love to pigeonhole things. So we have ice, water, and steam. Ice is that hard stuff, and steam is that hot gaseous stuff. Well, aren't these just different temperature pressure modalities of water? And of course the answer is yes. So to answer the question, which no book and no university and no high school will ever do, in explaining what is magnetism, let me first ask you the question: where did ice come from? Isn't ice a temperature modality of water? When we say ice is floating like the iceberg that sunk the Titanic, we got ice in the water. Well, more accurately, it would be correct to say that here's a different modality of water floating in itself as a different modality, because ice in the water is no different than saying water in the water. To be precise, without using dry scientific humor there, it has been said by James Clerk Maxwell that magnetism is a dielectric field. Fundamentally, that does answer the question, but what does that really mean? The dielectric field. The fundamental equation, which is my discovery, which is tattooed right here on the inside of my right wrist, like, well, why is there a release of energy at all? It's like asking the question, how can you have something without an attribute, like light and illumination? Nobody knows light without illumination, its extrinsic attribute. Nobody knows the dielectric or energy, i.e. inertia, which is non-Cartesian, because the geometry of dielectric is, of course, the hyperboloid. We're talking about the field of counterspace.
Oh my God. Okay, so I usually like his work. I would love to talk to him about this stuff because people are calling the Trinity electricity, dielectricity, and magnetism. And with dielectricity being the absence of electricity or magnetism or whatever you want to call it, like the plane of inertia, I just believe that to be the lack of friction or the lack of motion between the two forces. So there's one force that experiences itself electrically and magnetically, and even Walter Russell discusses that. And so, and these forces being part of like the one force experiencing itself in opposite energies, just like masculine, feminine, positive, negative, yin, yang, centripetal, centrifugal, electrical, magnetic, and so on. And so that's where we just disagree. So I do like his videos on where he shows about magnets and magnetism, and explains magnets and magnetism and toroids and toroidal fields and hyperboloids. But there are just some friggin' things, especially again with the luminaries, that like if we discussed it, he might make even more groundbreaking, innovative books or videos. And yeah, because he has some good videos out there. Like he talks about Pythagoras, but he doesn't share the fact that his 8 inches per mile squared was bullshit, and that he was one of the first official on the record Freemasons.
Or counterclockwise, you will see of my free book, not selling anything, uncovering the missing secrets of magnetism. Okay, right now we're looking at a magnet underneath the ferrocell, invented by my buddy Tim. And here you can see, moving clockwise, brighter lines. These are just fed by standard hardware LEDs. Okay. Now underneath that, moving in a seemingly opposite direction or counterclockwise, you will see dimmer lines. The dimmer lines is the opposite face of the magnet that is furthest away from the surface of the ferrocell. The ferrocell are two perfectly optically flat pieces of glass, in between which is a special solution that is less than 1 micron thin. If you're actually...
Quick editor's note, the video you're about to watch is based on the speed of light takes more than 3 and no current will flow down the disconnected branch. Option B, the electric field has already solved the circuit, but it still has to update information at the speed of light. So as soon as you connect the battery, the correct current starts to flow in the wires in a sort of bubble that expands from the connection point. Option C, the battery pumps an arbitrary amount of... This is to probe more and talk to each other through this gap. I just wanted to make it easy to compare the waves by putting...
Anyway, now I'm just being boring, so I'm going to leave it at that. And I hope that everyone has a wonderful day.